best advice?
Believe in yourself, and if you doubt that you can't do something, seek help. Don't sit on it. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable, because actually that's a very, very good quality to have for anyone who wants to succeed in life, is to accept that you have faults, accept that there are things that you don't know.
Welcome to the Rogue L&D Hot Shots podcast, a short podcast allowing you to meet some of the brilliant folk driving people performance and development forward in an informal and human way. My name's Tom Bailey, award-winning L&D leader and passionate maverick for all things development. Join me as I ask just 10 questions of some of the industry's most innovative and interesting people. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Paul Scott. I'm the General Manager for Zenzai ANZ here in Australia. Zenzai is a learning management platform and engagement and performance platform. So we're actually coining a new category here called human success, which has just been recognised by Gartner as being a thing. So we are now officially a category, and the human success platform is what we sell here in Australia. So I've got a team of 10 people here who are selling and supporting customers in Australia and New Zealand. My background is the call center industry. So I spent 15 very happy years with merchants and Dimension Data, going around the world, helping organizations improve their customer service operations, all building call centers. So I did a number of big projects in South Africa, Middle East and India, and the States and Europe, all of which were very, very fulfilling. And then going a little further back to that, I'm a West Sussex country boy who went to London at the age of 18, 19 and lived there for the best part of 25 years, pursuing a career management consultancy.
What are you passionate about?
So what I love doing most is helping people achieve their dreams, whether that be starting up a new business or enhancing their career or pursuing something which is their own personal passion. If there's anything I can do to help them achieve that, those are the things that I get a real buzz from. I've been very fortunate since I came to Australia in 2016 to work with the most extraordinary group of people in a number of businesses where the founders had been perhaps stuck, didn't know how to achieve their dreams, and I was able to help them on that journey, and that's what I'm still doing today.
What's the best L&D you've seen?
Okay, this might sound a little bit sort of sycophantic, but actually the project that we've just undertaken in Zenzai to rebrand our business and upskill 260 people globally with a new brand, a new product, a new go-to-market proposition, creating a new category, has been executed with exceptional skill. And I really do think that's the best example I've seen. I mean, obviously, we have an LMS platform within, or product within our platform, which definitely helps. And we've got an engagement tool and performance management. But the way that it's been executed by our team globally, led by the guys in Denmark, has really, really stood out. I've seen really good programs executed as well in some of the call center projects I've done, particularly the one that we did in India with Reliance Industries, which was a world first. So India at the time, this would have been back in 2013, 2014, India famous for being a call center outsourcing destination and deliverer of dubious customer service, with typically attrition rates in those call centers of 100%, so 100% of the staff churning every single year. Our challenge was to set up a customer service operation for the entire Indian population, so only internal to India, to support a 4G network that was being rolled out across the whole of India by Reliance Industries. How do you do that? Nobody's ever done that before. Myself and my colleague Mike Wells sat down on early in January 2013 to kind of work that out on a whiteboard and come up with the structure of a project plan and a team to do it. And then we realized we didn't have a team to do it. So we had to sort of connect with people in our own network to create the project team. That ended up going to India, and we built basically the people, the process, technology required, and the strategy to deliver an exceptional customer experience. So that operation went live in 2015, and that now supports over 350 million customers across the whole of India. Certainly my proudest moment, and I know Mike's proudest moment as well, but our team of 22 people who were involved in that would all say that was a life-changing experience, and really just deliver the most extraordinary outcome.
Favorite hand gesture?
Well, my son is responsible for this because he's a rock artist.
That does not strike me as your kind of hand gesture.
No, I'm very proud of what James has done with his music.
That's really good. Yeah. What sort of music is it?
Rock music. Yes.
Okay. Well, that obviously.
Yes.
Not classical.
It's not. Look it up on any of the major music platforms. The band is called Vambo. Vambo. Yeah. They do sort of retro 70s rock.
One thing you didn't learn?
Well, one thing I didn't learn, which is a kind of a continuing thing today, is anything to do with AI. So I am a massive fan of Perplexity Pro. I'm using it probably 5 times a day to basically validate what I'm seeing, hearing, being told, any assumptions that I may have about stuff. And what I love about the direction that kind of AI is going in is it is really peeling back the layers and showing us where the sources are for this information. So giving us real data points that we can rely on. And I'm sure, people say that it's not so good. I think actually it's getting better and better, literally by the day. And that is a case of not having to sit down and learn anything. You can basically just ask a question, give them a good prompt, and then you'll be given a whole series of subsidiary prompts that will get you to the outcome you're looking for.
Worst experience in L&D?
Gosh, it goes back a long, long way. The very first training course I ever did, which I hate to say was actually probably back in the early 80s, was at something called the Alfred Tack Training School for Salesmen. And at the time I was working, this is my first job, by the way, I was working for a heating and ventilating company in Essex. And I was a rookie hire. And literally, my boss said on the first day, he said, right, you're going off to the Alfred Tack Training School because that's where all our salespeople go, and they're going to teach you how to do selling. And it was a 3-day course. I was given a 4-inch thick ring binder, and I sat in a classroom with about 7 or 8 other people for 8 hours a day for 3 consecutive days. And at the end of it, we had to pitch. I'd never sold anything in my life before, but having completed this 3-day course, you were expected to be the consummate salesperson. I made a complete hash of it. It's not my style of learning at all, which is, there's a guy standing up in front of you, basically just telling you this is the process for selling. Just do this. And you've got a ring binder in front of you, which has basically got everything that he said in the ring binder. And you're meant to take that away at the end of each day and read the section that you went through in the 8 hours prior to that. And then walk out of the room with a certificate at the end of it to say that you've been to the Alfred Tack Training School. And you've been certified as a qualified salesperson. So I get back to the job at the end of that week, and my boss says to me, right, so you're ready to go. Okay, here are your first 10 appointments. Off you go, get in your car, and don't come back until you sold 50 grand's worth of products. It was absolutely dreadful. I was a complete and utter failure. So I was, I was a 19 or 20-year-old selling to, hairy-ass plumbers and builders merchants. Most of them wouldn't even let me in through the front door.
Something you believed, but nobody else did.
Back in the early days in management consultancy, I was working for a company that was advising organizations on best practice. And there were one or two people who had some very bizarre thinking around what motivated people to succeed. And I found myself in an audience of one, believing that it was not quite such a good idea to try and con people into buying things, that it might be better to try and create empathy with them and understand what their problems were before basically telling them that they were living in a world where if they didn't buy a product, they would probably not survive.
Best celebrity moment?
Well, actually, Tom, I think it's not my best one, but it's my favorite because it was the first time that I'd met somebody really, really famous and had my perception of them dispelled completely. So the story goes like this. My first wife in the UK was an estate agent, and she specialised in finding properties for the rich and famous. And one of the people that contacted her was the personal assistant for a gentleman called Sir Mick Jagger. And Mick was looking for a property for his parents at the time. So this was a few years ago. And she found a number of properties for him. But what Mick stipulated was that it needed to be near him. So he lived in Ham at the time, or Richmond, and we were looking for properties in that area. And actually at the time my wife was also very pregnant. Anyway, we found this property. Mick being Mick, obviously he didn't want the owner to know who he was because that would probably escalate the price. And he was out of the country touring at the time as well. His then wife was then dispatched to go and have a look at this property. And she turned up in a long raincoat, a trilby hat and sunglasses. It's like the classic cartoon disguise with her hair kind of, bound up inside her hat. So she arrived at the property, and I was there as well. I was actually looking after our then small son in the car, and this blacked out limousine arrives, and said woman jumps out in this very strange disguise. But she's like 6'3", and at the time he was married to Jerry Hall, who's in the Caribbean or somewhere. Actually, he was recording. He wasn't on the tour. He was recording in the Caribbean. So she does this, and that gets the tape gets sent across to Mick. Mick thinks it's fantastic. Comes back to the UK. And then we'll have another viewing. But this time it's Mick and Jerry. So Jerry, again, in the same disguise, right? Mick doesn't bother at all. He just turns up as Mick. So the whole thing is completely bizarre. But when Mick and Jerry arrived in this black limousine, my wife had already got into the house. So I jumped out of the car, tapped on the window, and this window goes down, and there's Mick Jagger, and he said, "Hello, mate."
Best advice?
Believe in yourself, and if you doubt that you can't do something, seek help. Don't sit on it. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable, because actually that's a very, very good quality to have for anyone who wants to succeed in life, is to accept that you have faults, accept that there are things that you don't know, and you'd be surprised how often people will jump on any idea that you have that they like the sound of to help you, provided you're prepared to be vulnerable.
Thank you to our guest and to you for listening. If you want to boost the impact of your organisation's people development practices, I'd love to connect. You can find me at thomasbailey.co. Alternatively, you can look me up on LinkedIn.